Hey y'all, it's Angie here, single mom, educator, therapist, who is also now debt free as of a couple of months ago. And I come on to vlog. I keep forgetting that's what it's called. It's called a vlog, isn't it? But I come on to talk about just how I'm living life these days, doing all of those things because I think it could be inspirational to some people out there who are just trying to live a simple but fruitful life. So, um, I'm actually in my office. Sometimes actually most of the time, I probably vlog from here. And it's really cool because I got a Wi-Fi extender. So I had one before, and it kind of died. I don't know. It worked for a little bit, like a year, and then it died. But I just got a new one, and I forgot how much they change your life. My son's room is like upstairs from here, and he wasn't getting any. His Roku just stopped working. He wasn't getting any signal up there from the regular Wi-Fi. So it's like, okay, it's time to invest in a new one. And I put this one in the front of the house because the house is pretty, it's not big, but it's pretty like spread out the way it's set up. So yeah, so I put this up front and it's great. I'm getting better signal from my office than I normally do. I'm actually gonna try to sit on the porch maybe for the next video I do to see if it even will go outside there because like I said, it's in the front of the house. So anyway, if you don't have one for your house, I highly recommend it. I just went on Amazon and looked for one that had really good reviews. I actually got one before. It was horrible. I sent it back and then bought this one. Came today and it's working out really well. So I thought I'd just put that little plug in there. So today, what I really want to talk about is vacationing on a budget. But before I talk about that, I'm actually going to talk about that in my next video. I wanted to talk a little bit about Dave Ramsey. And the reason is because what I'm going to tell you about him kind of correlates with the next video on timeshares and vacationing. So I thought it would be good that you know who he is so that when I talk about him in the next video, if you don't already know, you'll have some background on him. So Dave Ramsey is a finance guru. So he came on the scene a little over about 30 years ago, maybe, and he had his own struggles with finance, had a bankruptcy, like didn't use money really well in his young age, and was like, I'm never going back there. And then kind of pulled himself back up by the bootstrings or bootstraps, what do you call it? And got to become this millionaire, and then came up with these steps to help other people do the same thing because that's the way that he did it. So he has what are called his baby steps. He has 7 of them, and if you follow them according to him, you will get out of debt and live a like financially prosperous life and even become a millionaire if you start early enough and you're diligent enough. I will say this about Dave Ramsey before I get into him anymore. I like his financial advice. I don't know if I'm as like keen on his kind of personal advice, but that's neither here nor there. I'm really just talking about the finance side of him. But anyway, so back to the baby steps and what they are. So there are 7 of them. Okay. Baby step 1 is that you save them from an emergency fund of about $1,000. Well, of $1,000, not about, but you save from an emergency fund of $1,000. Baby step 2 is is you pay off all your debt except for your house if you have a house. And you do that by going from smallest to largest with your debts. Baby step 3 is that you then save up an emergency fund of about 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. Baby step 4 is, well, then there's 4, 5, 6, and 7. So actually, let me go with 7 first. 7 is like you give back, you give generously. I forget exactly how he words it, but that's the idea. By then, you should be like have more money then hopefully you know what to do with, but at least you have some like discretionary and disposable income you can give back. In between, there's baby steps 4, 5, and 6. So baby step 4 is that you save 15% towards your retirement. Baby step 5 is you invest in your child's college fund. And then baby step 6 is you pay off your house. So I have to say that I am really about these steps because I think they work. I know a lot of people are like, oh, how can you make it through life without debt? And, Dave's a no debt person. The only debt he's okay with is your house. And even with your house, he suggests that you do it a certain way. 15-year mortgage with at least 20% down, and you still want your payment to be within 25% of your take home pay. It's really hard to do, especially in this market, but it's not impossible if you don't have debt and you're saving, at least according to him. I would agree. I would agree that that is probably the best way to go. Now, I I actually owned a home at one point. You all may know that. And I sold it. And I think that if I would have done it differently and been more financially savvy about it and saved up more, I probably would have ended up getting more of a profit out of it. I actually did buy my house in 2007, right before we had that the last recession and housing market just completely flipped. I was upside down on my house like from the beginning, guys, and it did take a long time to recoup, and I did make a tiny profit out of it, which is fine. I used it to pay off some debt and buy my car. But I'm saying that to say that if I would have followed like some of Dave's financial advice, I probably would have been in a better spot when it came to home ownership, even going into my age 40s. I'm really struggling with that now because I have done the baby steps up through, well, I can't say I've done the baby steps up through. I am on baby step 4. So I actually just finished saving. I have about 4 months worth of expenses in my emergency fund. And I chose 4 because it was kind of a nice round number for me with my budget. And I honestly don't think that I'd go without work, not voluntarily, for more than 4 months. Being in education, I think I could find something pretty quickly, even if it was subbing, and start to recoup money, or use my therapy on the side to make money. So I'm not really too concerned about not having um, money or being without a job for long. So that's why I chose 4 months. I actually started saving 8% towards my retirement fund, and 8% is in my 403b, which is the public service version of a 401k. And then my job matches 5% if you put in 6. I decided to do 8 because what I wanted to do was then turn around and max out a Roth for my 15%, which was going to land me right at about that amount to do it that way. Um, I am meeting with a financial advisor in 2 weeks to kind of go over. I do already have some retirement savings from a previous job when I was doing the baby steps out of order. So I do have some money saved up. I was also mandated to pay into my school's pension when I worked in the public school system. So I do have a little bit of a pension, not too much, but a pretty decent amount for being over the years, as well as some in a 403b from before. So I'm talking to financial advisor to find out what would be best to do next, when it comes to saving for my son's college. If I should start that now. I mean, he's only 8, but he is 8. And also about a home because I'm struggling with that for many reasons, which I can talk about in another video. I won't go into it now, but I am having some struggles with how to proceed looking for homes, especially after Chapter 7 bankruptcy, and not having quite enough of a down payment yet. So anyway, or at least what I think is enough of a down payment. So anyway, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about Dave and where he's fit into my life, and I fit into some of the baby steps. Also, the next thing I want to talk about though is about timeshares because it's the thing I think that Dave Ramsey detests. I would probably even say hates. He has gone off on several rants about timeshare companies and how bad they are. But I want to talk about them a little bit in the next video because we are going on vacation, meaning my son along with my parents in a couple weeks, and we're doing it kind of through some timeshare means. My parents also have a timeshare, so I want to talk about that and what I feel like financially it does, and how why Dave is ranting about them, and my thoughts on some of that. So anyway, if you want to know more about Dave Ramsey and his principles, if you've never heard of him, he has a podcast which I actually subscribe to on YouTube. He's syndicated in a lot of places across the United States. He does his live streams daily. He does a live stream show on YouTube. I'll put his information down below, to his YouTube and also to his website. Eventually, guys, I'm gonna learn how to edit some videos so that I can put like pictures in. So you can see some other things. Oh, something else about Dave Ramsey that I think is really cool is over the years he's developed a team of people who kind of talk about other areas of life that they have experience in. So he has Ken Coleman, who talks about careers and job advice, employment. He has Christina Ellis. It was Anthony O'Neill, but Anthony O'Neill left to do something else. Christina Ellis, they talk about how not to get into student loan debt and help you pay for higher education in college. Rachel Cruz is his daughter, and she talks about like the family side of budgeting and finance. Who else is on his team? He used to have Chris Hogan, who talked about retirement, but Chris has moved on as well. And so Dave does talk a little bit about retirement himself, though, and how to become what he calls an everyday millionaire by working the baby steps. Who else? Oh, George Camel. George Camel's one of my favorites. He's newer. He's like a millennial who's talking about some of these financial things going on out there. And then Dr. John Deloney is a psychologist that he now has on the team too, who talks about relationships and how relationships and money play into work together and things like that. So I highly recommend you check out the team, even if it's not necessarily your cup of tea. It might be interesting to see that perspective um, in the finance world, and just just think about it. It gives you another way to look at things, which, the counselor in me is going to suggest that you do. So anyway, y'all, thanks so much for listening to this. Thanks so much for stopping in. I'll have the vacation video up. I'll probably try to do it before the end of the week before we go on vacation, and then follow up with you afterwards. So thanks as always for being here. And don't forget to comment, like, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Talk to you later.